There is a full moon happening tonight that astrologers are quietly calling the start of a second summer of love. And if you are a Capricorn, you are standing at the exact intersection of two forces that rarely meet: a sky pushing you toward radical change, and a moon pulling you toward old, familiar moods. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you will understand why today might be one of the most quietly pivotal days of your year. Let us start with what is actually happening up there, because today is not ordinary. The moon is sitting in your own sign, Capricorn, which in Western tropical astrology often correlates with a more introspective, guarded emotional tone. You may notice yourself less patient than usual, more inclined to retreat than engage. That is not a flaw in your character. It is simply the lunar weather passing through your ruling sign today. But that is just the daily layer. Zoom out, and something much bigger is unfolding. Tonight brings a full moon in Aquarius, and this one is not subtle. It is landing in your second house of income and resources, which means it is arriving right at the intersection of 6 months of effort and whatever comes next. Full moons work like harvests. They do not plant seeds. They reveal what is already grown. So this one may illuminate whether a financial plan, a negotiation, or a long-simmering resource decision is finally ready to show its results. Layered on top of that is something rarer still. The Sun and Jupiter are meeting in your 8th house of shared resources, shared debt, joint ventures, deep trust. In evolutionary and psychological astrology, the 8th house is where intimacy and vulnerability intersect with money and power. It is the house of what we build together, not alone. This Sun-Jupiter meeting happens roughly once a year, but rarely does it land while a full moon simultaneously illuminates your income sector. Most people watching this tonight will not clock that these two events are actually telling the same story from different angles. Your personal resources and your shared resources are both asking for clarity at the exact same moment. Here is what almost no one mentions about full moons in Aquarius specifically. Aquarius energy does not just affect individuals, it ripples through collective structures, workplaces, communities, entire systems of how people cooperate. Some astrologers are already framing this particular lunation as the opening of a new cultural shift, not unlike the cultural upheavals the world saw decades ago. For you, practically, that means the changes rippling through your work environment right now, new technology, new methods, new expectations, are not a personal inconvenience. They are part of something much larger moving through the collective right now, and you happen to be standing where personal and collective changes overlap. Let us bring this down to where you actually live, starting with the people closest to you. With the moon sitting heavy in your own sign tonight, warmth may not come easily in your closest relationship today. You might notice a loved one pulling back, needing space rather than conversation. The instinct to fix it immediately, to sort it out right now, may actually work against you. Many people with the moon in Capricorn today report better results when they offer patience instead of pressure, tact instead of urgency. Picture it like a door that is slightly ajar. Pushing on it only makes it swing shut. Give the space instead, and it tends to open on its own. If you are partnered, there is a wider current running underneath this too. Tonight's full moon in Aquarius is landing during what some astrologers are calling a rare romantic cycle, stretching all the way into next July, a period marked by both unusually high engagement and marriage activity and, yes, some relationship endings. That is not a contradiction. It is what happens when a collective energy asks everyone to get honest about what they actually want. Relationships that are aligned may accelerate, commitments may deepen. Relationships running on autopilot may feel the strain first. Where you land depends less on the sky and more on the honesty you are willing to bring to the conversation this week. Pattern interrupt. Curiosity bridge. Now here is where the sky adds an unexpected layer of support to whatever's happening in that relationship, or in that shared financial decision you have been circling. Let us talk about work, because today's professional weather is unusually charged. The disruption you may have felt building in your work environment, new tools, new systems, unfamiliar ways of operating, is not random static. It is connected to that same collective Aquarius current we just talked about. Some Capricorns are watching entire workflows shift beneath them, whether that is new technology entering the picture or simply a completely different way of collaborating with colleagues. The instinct to resist can be strong, especially for a sign that values proven methods. But the current energy does not reward resistance, it rewards adaptation. If a shared project, academic effort, or unpaid collaboration is suddenly being reimagined by someone else's push for innovation, consider treating it as information rather than an inconvenience. What looks like disruption right now may actually be the doorway to a more effective way of operating, one you would not have found on your own. And this is where career quietly hands the baton to money, because that same 8th house energy shaping your work relationships is also shaping your finances. This is worth sitting with for a moment, because it is rare. That Sun-Jupiter meeting in your 8th house of shared resources is not just abstract astrology. It correlates with real conversations about trust, debt, investment, or joint financial responsibility. The advice from multiple traditions converges here surprisingly precisely. Bring facts, not just feelings. Ask for transparency and offer the same in return. Document whatever gets decided. Jupiter tends to expand whatever it touches, for better or worse, so a vague agreement made today could grow into a bigger problem later, while a clear, honest one could grow into real opportunity. Some financial astrologers are also flagging this time frame as favorable for a shared investment, a property matter, or a long-pending payout finally clearing. Nothing is guaranteed, but the current alignment does lean toward resolution rather than more delay. Pattern interrupt. Reflection pause. Take a breath here, because this next part is the piece most people watching this will miss entirely. What makes today genuinely rare is not any single transit. It is that your personal resources, your shared resources, and the collective shift in how people work and love are all peaking on the exact same day. Western tropical astrology sees this as a 2nd house and 8th house full moon story, personal versus shared value. Meanwhile, the psychological reading sees it as an identity test. Are you defining your worth by what you alone control, or by what you are willing to build with others? Both are describing the same sky from different angles, and both arrive at the same answer. Tonight is asking you to stop separating mine from ours. That is the kind of insight worth sitting with, because most horoscopes will tell you today is just about money or just about relationships. It is actually about the line between the two dissolving, at least for a while. Let us bring this into the body, because your well-being is feeling this shift too. Many Capricorns are noticing minor irritations, landing harder than they should today, that moon in Capricorn tightness again. Rather than swallowing that frustration, which tends to be your default, try naming it out loud to someone you trust. Suppressed tension has a way of resurfacing later as fatigue or tightness, particularly for a sign that carries stress in the body. The good news is, if you have been sticking with an exercise routine lately, this is a moment where that discipline is quietly paying dividends, steadier energy, better resilience under pressure. Some Vedic practitioners may recommend Saturn-related remedies, certain gemstones or mantras, for individuals whose birth charts specifically support them. That is not universal advice. Gemstone prescriptions require real chart analysis, but wearing the color yellow today is a safe, low-stakes way to align with the day's more optimistic undertone. If you can, protect a window between 7 and 9 this evening. Several traditions independently flag this as a more favorable stretch for you today. Pattern interrupt. Direct address. If you are a Capricorn rising as well, Pay close attention to how your home feels tonight, because the pattern extends there too. Family and social settings may carry a bit of that same Capricorn moon heaviness. Conversations that usually flow easily might feel slightly more effortful. Think of it less as conflict and more like static on a phone line. The connection is still there. It just needs a little patience to come through clearly. If someone close to you seems distant today, it likely has more to do with their own internal sorting than anything you have done. As for travel, nothing in today's sky raises red flags, but with so much emotional and financial recalibration happening internally, spontaneous opulent getaway might appeal more as fantasy than as practical plan right now. Let it stay on the vision board a little longer. Spiritually, this is a good day for quiet reflection rather than big declarations. Journaling about what shared really means to you in love, in money, in work could reveal more than any conversation today. For quick reference, today favors the color yellow, the evening hours between 7 and 9, patience over urgency in close relationships, and documentation over assumption in anything financial. So here is where it all comes back together. Tay asks something quietly demanding of you, Capricorn: patience with the people you love, transparency with the resources you share, and openness to a changing world you did not necessarily ask for. None of it is a crisis. All of it is an invitation. The structures shifting around you right now, in love, at work, in your finances, are not falling apart. They are being rebuilt into something more honest. Stay curious about what tonight's full moon reveals over these next 2 weeks, because the payoff for tonight's patience tends to arrive quietly, not all at once. If this kind of grounded, story-driven reading resonates with you, staying close for tomorrow's chapter might be worth it, because this particular sky is not finished writing yet.